Guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do Ragnarok, issue number 9 by IDW, written and drawn by the great Walter Simonson. Yeah, it's been long overdue since we touched this series, so let's dive in real quick. So if you want to know what's going on, check out my other reviews. I did a review from 1 till 8 on my channel. Thanks that is coming, the one that you are watching now. And if you like what you see, subscribe, like, and all that jazz. Really appreciate that. So we have here Regn stabbing Thor. And Thor says, stinks. That must mean I'm still alive. My lord, I didn't actually mean to cut you. The sword twisted in my hand. I did warn you about Tyrfing's curse. Tyrfing is the name of the sword. It's cursed by someone that we're going to go over a little bit later. Maybe in this issue, maybe probably in the issues after this. So he says, if I do decide to kill you, I don't want it as a gift from this blade. Drifa's still dead, and that's forever. So who's Drifa? Little recap. Drifa was cursed by someone, and that someone lied about giving her, her life back because she was sick. Thor killed Drifa just to make a point that the Lord of the Dead that swore to resurrect her or heal her, it was all a lie. So, yeah, Thor killed him, and that means that Regn here was, pretty pissed off about it, you can imagine, because it's his daughter. But it was also for a reason. And because the reason was that one of the reasons that if Drifa was still alive, Regn would be still worried about her, try to protect her. In the last issue, there was, fire demons attacking them. So basically, with the death of Drifa, the focus would be more on stay alive and try to kill Thor. So, and in the end, they are all slaying the fire demon, so he had his full attention instead of worrying about Drifa, which is actually very disturbing and in a conniving way. But yeah, here we go. So then you hear a sound like or whatever. I'm not sure how we do it. So he says, "What's that?" The fire starters of Muspelheim are discorporating. Is that how you say it? Discorporating? Yeah. Being called back to the realm of the fire to reborn. Shortly, Surtur will know that his legion of berserkers has failed. He will survive. He will surmise that I'm still alive. I hope he will sleep less easily in that knowledge. What's that? An eternal dance of lightning hollowing the pyre that burns everything I hold dear. So yeah, he put all in the issue, a couple issues before, his beloved ones, his dead ones, his fellow immortals or Asgardians, and he put them all into a giant pyre that's going to burn forever, I guess. So Thor says, in the future, I hope it will be a beacon of hope to all those in the Dusklands, and that retribution and a restoration of the land may yet be possible. Yeah, because, well, it's not really much of a land right now. But, Thor is still a little bit hurt here, and so his steed is coming because Ratatosk, so Ratatosk, you may remember, that's the little squirrel guy that talks. He was created by Odin. He brought Thor the apples, the golden apples of, I believe, Yggdrasil, if I remember it correctly. And they bring longevity and healing. So he's eating here, and he's then sitting in his throne, and he says, the pain eases. Now we come, hopefully a little bit later, to this particular scene here. All right? So Regn says, what of Drifa? Is she merely the victim of a god's impetuous nature? And Thor says, I'm never impetuous. I hope I said that right. Regn, well, occasionally perhaps, but bring her. We shall ascend Odin's seat. Though the Allfather is gone, I would take comfort in his lingering presence, and perhaps some benefits may yet be derived from such a holy place. I only done this with goats before. And he says, goats? So they teleported to the high seat here. So And what he mean with goats? Well, it seems that that's why I like this 4. Gonna be a little bit of an explanation. So he, when he was alive before he turned into this creature that you see before you, he was Asgard's principal defender, as he calls himself, and rode to battle against the Jotuns in my war cart, pulling by my goats, and I probably butchered this as well. Tenin Grisnir and Tanin Yeah, that's a tongue twister. I cannot do it. I traveled the 9 worlds, and when I made camp, I butchered my goats, and I ate well, and I kept the skin and bones intact. In the morning, I blessed the remains, and the goats sprang up again, unhurt and refreshed. Yeah, that's actually true. That's all in the mythology of 4. And Marvel 4 is not doing that because, well, his power set is, well, he probably can do it, but yeah, we never see that. And that's why I like this 4, because he's doing way different things with his powers. So that's great. So he says, now I have slain your daughter, so lay her on the high seat. Goats, if I swear, goats, he says, and step away, he says 4. And then this is happening. It looks freaking awesome. So he's using his, Asgardian magic to resurrect her. And Drifa is now back in the land of the living, and Regn is beyond grateful, and 4 gives these two a little bit of, a moment together, if you will. And after that, he says, I explained what happened. And then he is showing Regn the fortified hold of the Lord of the Dead, and so the Lord of the Dead is, that guy that I talked about, about lying and curses, etc. And his name is Angantyr. He's gathering more Draugr every day. We need to talk. I would have words with him. Then we shall visit him together. I thought to wait for Ratatosk, but he has not yet appeared. Yeah, so Ratatosk is also, becoming through the, millennia, the friend of 4. But in the meantime, somewhere in the Dustlands, these dwarves are repairing some teleporter gateway, and then a Jotun comes, and they're using steam cannons to, blast away the arm. But it seems that this Jotun is way too formidable, if you can call it that. And these poor dwarves are turning into dwarf sickles, as he calls it. So 4 is still waiting for Ratatosk, and he says, I had expected that scam to be here when I arrive, if only just to insult me. He enjoys it, and so do I. And then she says, Papa, it's all right, child. Ratatosk is already here for fetching Drifa. And he says, what's this? A sword cut? And then somewhere beyond the shard of the rainbow, there's a deeper rumble and thunder. And Thor, what am I saying? 4 is mad. He's enraged about, the death of his friend. And he says, you killed him. And then Drifa tries to calm him. And then also the rain is diminishing. Is that how you say it? Diminishing? Probably not. It stops raining. Because his anger is going away. I like that. I like when he's probably have said the weather also reacts to it. Because, well, he's the god of thunder. I like that. It's neat, small little touches that probably not many notices. But I saw it and I thought, yeah, it linked very well. So Drifa says, Regn says, it was my fault. I thought there was a spy behind the boulder. I struck without looking. I'm sorry. So 4 says, a spy? Well, Ratatosk was my father's creature. Perhaps you were not so far off the mark. I'm sorry about losing my temper, Drifa. I'm working on that. Not very successfully so far. And then he says, stand up, dragon. The days of ceremony are over. And then Drifa says, hey, can you bring Ratatosk back? But then 4 says, well, no, that's because he can only do that because if the creature or person in question is slain by his magic, by Mjolnir. And well, Ratatosk did not. And Yeah, so that's sad. And so he says that Ratatos is beyond his help. We shall see him properly home, you and I. He was dear to me. He kept me alive for centuries with the nectar from the apples, and he did not suffer fools gladly. I shall miss his wit, his sarcasm. And he was the last of his own kind here in the Dustlands. So yeah, and at some point, even though Ratatos was not really significant, well, prevalent in this whole story, I started to like that guy, although he was not much here. And then she said instead of throw him into the pyre so that his remains can burn forever, Driver decides to do the old-fashioned way and make a grave for him and grieve him for a little while. And I like that, the small touches, and it flows really well. We can always stand still for a little bit for what's when it comes to personal things like bringing your daughter back to life, or having some respect for the fallen, and actually seeing that. And some comics, like let's say in my a couple of issues ago, a couple of reviews ago, it drags a little bit, but Walter Simon is such a good storyteller. The flow is fantastic. It's really good. It's not hindering. It's just perfect, in my opinion, of course. So later says now to other business. Basically, he wants to restore his goats if the bones are still intact, and then we see that the bones are broken and burned beyond healing. But then he does this. Lady Fury, a word with you. I have a great boon to ask. If I fail, I will lay your remains in the lightning pyre honored beside the Aesir. If I succeed, you will become more powerful than you possibly can imagine. And thou hast my solemn oath, I will never butcher thee. and Lady Fury says, snort. I'm glad you think that's funny. But I am grateful. Now stand among the bones and close your eyes. I love this dialogue. It's so cool. And then this is happening. So there's a transformation. We see the bones merging with the goats, and they become dragon goats, I guess. It looks freaking fantastic, man. It's so cool. Look at this coloring and the lighting and the shading. It's just, oh man, can't get over it. It's so cool. And then, so these creatures are being reborn, more powerful than ever, and they're gonna now ride to the how do you say it? That's a tongue twister again. Engentier's hold. That's where they're going. Says it, but how do we get there? And it says, so Thor says, we will be traveling faster than your. I'm sorry, what does it say? We will be traveling faster than you dream. How is that possible? Because we're going to fly. Now, okay. I wanted to say this really reminds me of the. It sounds maybe a little bit silly, but I'm going to close it here. It sounds like do you have ever seen The Never-Ending Story? That movie. It was a movie from my childhood, and I have so much fond memories about it. And every time I see someone on some kind of a animal flying through the air, I always go back to my childhood and then get the feeling of nostalgia. Although it has nothing to do with here, but when we say, hey, we're going to fly, and then he's riding some kind of a dragon goat, it just brings me a little bit back to that special place. It's just really fun. And then they're going to fly, and we see this transition, and the squirrel is not dead. Ratatas is cursing because they buried him. And it leads us to the next issue in this one, and we also see this Walter Simon's gallery that I really like. The small little touches, and I mean, look at this here. So he says, this is how his words. I always loved the way the late John Buscema drew figures reclining in chairs. Someday I hope to achieve the same insouciance in my seated figures. Still working on that. Now, what does he mean with that? So maybe long-time readers will see immediately John Buscema did fantastic work with villains, sometimes heroes, but mostly villains like Loki, sitting in the chair like this, brooding, scheming, right? And that the way he draws that is really fantastic, with this cup of wine in front of him, and then cursing the Avengers or Thor, and take over Asgard and etc. It's just great. And I didn't know that he was a big fan of John Buscema, and that he's tried to become as good as he. And and don't forget, Walter Simonson is old. He's way past the 70s, or maybe barely, around the 70s years old. And he's still, try to improve his art while looking at others' art. That's fantastic. He keeps improving. He tries to be better every time, not, sitting, at home and doing the same stuff over and over and again, like Rob Liefeld. Sorry, I had a cough in my throat. Yeah, and then we also see this a little bit of a farewell of the great Dorian Cook. Miss this guy a lot. So yeah, overall, again, fantastic issue of Ragnarok, and with Walter Simonson's writing and art. I cannot praise this comic enough. It's fantastic, guys. That brings us to the end of the video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this, and I see you soon. Bye bye.